All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Athlete Artist Show. I am the artist Kyle Forch alongside my co-host, professional hockey player Zach Boychuk. Back with a guest this week. He's also a former professional hockey player, first-round draft pick in the NHL. He is a host of Game Notes with Spittin Chiclets. Colby Armstrong, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me. Awesome to be here. Rip
Awesome
it
to
up
have
with
you.
an artist. I don't usually rip it up with artists too much, although some would say my nose is a Picasso, but you know his paintings, right?
Army, what's been going on with you, man? There's lots going on in the world of hockey. I feel like we could talk to you all day. We've got a short time, but we're glad you're here. Man, a lot of changes in hockey. Let's start there. I mean, you were a WHL guy,
Oh,
and now with everything going on in the NCAA with CHL, I kind of want to go back to you and Zach were both WHL guys, and
yeah.
we've heard a lot on the show from NCAA guys who said that they would have loved to have the opportunity to go to the WHL for 2 years and then go to the NCAA. But coming from yourself, Zach even said that too. But yourself, you played 3 years in Red Deer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So going back, if you had the opportunity now as a player, would you have stayed in the WHL, kept playing Major Junior, or would you have left after those first 2 years, gone to the NCAA?
When I was coming up, I don't know about Zach, but it probably still was this like NCAA was like a joke. Like no, you never went there. Like you went there if you couldn't play in the WHL, you know. That's the way it was. Like unfortunately, it's picked up quite a bit of steam and has really grown, and the game has grown in the States. And I think, the USHL has helped, kind of a filter junior league to, give them opportunities and players opportunities to play through junior. But like USA hockey and hockey in general through youth hockey here, which I'm finding out living in Pittsburgh, my son 14 plays, shout out Mount St. Charles Academy, just a great spot to play hockey. Highly recommended. Just great hockey environment, but it's like the Wild West of hockey. I think Zach, can correct me if I'm wrong. I think Canada's getting like that too a little bit now with all these academies popping up all over the place for
Yeah.
kids to go play. Like it's the landscape's changing significantly at youth hockey level, and now with this, I guess, new rollout of not restricting players anymore. You have never before has a player had the best options for themselves to kind of chart their own path and have options on where to go play. So it's in players' hands now with, picking and choosing where you want to go and what leagues and what path and what route you want to take. Like we interviewed Fantilli, I think on Chiclets. I jumped in for an interview with him, but he took like a crazy path. Toronto area kid, could played in the GTHL, which is like, parents sell their youngest son so their older son can play in the GTHL. But like, and then he went down and followed his brother down to an academy down in the States, ended up at the Chicago Steel I think it's Chicago Steel, like a hockey factory in the USHL,
Yeah.
and then on to Michigan, which is like so unique of a path to do. And I believe what's his face, the big defenseman there, young guy in Buffalo, did the same thing. But it's never before now. Like that's not going to be like weird anymore, I guess. But I do think though, and Zach, you'll know, like, you know how it is, but like I think the CHL is now like the league for junior hockey. Like it is now, it's not like, BCHL and like, even USHL. Like I'm sorry, but like the CHL is now like the NHL of high-end development junior hockey in North America. I think it just
Yeah.
made it that way.
Yeah. All the top guys are going to try and go there after their, little prep programs
Yeah.
that they have. Like back in the day, we had Shattuck St. Mary's, and I think Notre Dame was coming along pretty good. Were they around when you
Yeah.
were coming up?
Yeah.
Like that, those were the only real prep programs that were kind of in our area. But after that, everybody's going to be going straight to the WHL or OHLQ for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, like I think just the awareness and like the growth of like all these different levels wasn't what it was or what it is today. So, I even look at like the US development program. I don't know what they call it, USNTDP GQ. It's like what?
And letters, yeah.
But like why would you go there now? Like, I throw out that question. Like, what's the point of going there now? And being in kind of this elite program that plays against the USHL? Or are they going to, unless they switch and they join like the OHL,
Yeah.
being right there, maybe they put a team in as 17-year-olds into that league, and the 16-year-olds play against, some of these junior teams in the States, and you kind of graduate and advance on. I don't know how it's going to work with all those age groups. Like, now you're not going to go there to develop to go to college eventually. You're going to, probably look at the OHL or the Q or the Western League as a place you can go and get that schedule, get that development, and do it just for a few years, right? Because it's hard, hey? Like, we played a lot of games in junior.
Yeah.
I remember getting to pro hockey, and probably same with you, and guys coming out of college like, oh man, I played 30 games last year. I was just pooped, Good thing I got my homework done though. It's totally different animal in the
2
CHL.
games a week max and no
Yeah.
travel. Meanwhile, we got 20-hour bus rides over in the WHL.
Oh yeah, it's a grind, and it gets you ready, no question. But it'd be nice if you can supplement that with a few years of your older developmental years at that time. Take a little off the body, just play a couple games a week, get in the gym, instead, and still get your schooling at some of these schools that are really high end. So yeah, I think the landscape now is so interesting, and I don't even think we know how it's all really going to work out, or who's going to crack the code on what's the best way to do it,
Well, have you heard like a lot of the stuff in the States where, these big colleges, especially football, basketball, these agents are charging like 15 to 20% of the NIL money, and a lot of them don't even have prior experience doing this. Like, it's just anybody's calling anybody. If you can get a guy to a big, $300,000-$400,000 contract, somehow you end up getting 15 to 20% of it. It's like
middleman.
It's like crazy.
Yeah, middleman sales kickback, I guess is what you'd call. I don't know, but it is crazy. They have crazy amount of like advisors at like even
Yeah.
the youth level to try to get kids that are like,
Does your son have an agent yet? Like, is it kind of
Well,
going towards that yet, or
yeah,
is he still pretty young?
He's still young, but we went and did a camp this summer with Wasserman out in Chicago, and they're awesome, and what is it, like Matthews, McDavid, and Judd, and then we are with the guys that are under them at that next level that are recruiting and finding kids, and so kind of got hooked up with some of their guys, and they've been great. They've been great help just understanding, because I don't know, like I said, it's the Wild West for youth hockey and how it works and where to go and what's best and who's a good coach and where's a good program, and track records over the years of like development and who comes out where. So it's good to have some people to know. I think some of them are kind of shady though. Like, they do that, like just middleman stuff, pick up the phone, make a couple calls. Like, listen, kids, if you want to get in somewhere, have your dad, if you're young, or like a buddy that you trust, to make some calls. Then you don't have to pay the guy $1,500 to make a phone call.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And you don't have some of these advisors, like you said, are shady, taking kickbacks from teams to push guys out there. Like, you see that with the BCHL right now, especially with guys, them not being in Hockey Canada anymore, and that whole situation changing.
Yeah.
They poached a couple of Kyle's players, so that's why he's a little salty.
No way.
Yeah.
Fuck. Then he scored a fucking hat trick his first game in Brooks. Pissed me right off.
Brooks Bandits, let's go.
They poached the best player in the
who's
SJHL.
your team, Kyle? Melville?
Melville Millionaires, yeah, in the SJ.
Buddy, I think they drafted me in the SJ.
Did they?
Yeah, I think I was a millionaire for a little while, and then I got traded later on once I think they knew that my rights, I was going to play in the Western League, and then I ended up getting traded. You know how they trade guys around, but they hold your rights, like, just in case, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I got traded, but I think I was a millionaire for a while.
That's funny.
Then I became a millionaire.
Let's go.
When you were hitting me when you're in the Toronto Maple Leafs, just burying me right along the boards.
Yeah, then I got to meet you and hang out with you, do a shot ski with you in Saskatoon, and everything changed.
Yeah, with Shenner and the boys.
Yeah, we got a good crew back there.
Unreal. So Army, if you what do you think is the play now? Like, do you think the NCAA comes in after Major Junior then as like that extra stepping stone? Like, Zach, you've talked about it a couple of times. Like, if you're good enough to be playing in the the WHL as a 16-year-old for those 2 years, you're lighting it up by the time you're 18. There isn't really much more development you can get at that level. So you can't play in the AHL because you're not old enough. The NHL is too far away still, but you need that extra step rather than playing against other 16, 17-year-olds. Go test yourself against men in the NCAA. Do you think that's kind of going to be the path, or what would you have done if you had the opportunity now?
Yeah, I know it's so interesting with that. Like, is the Western League going to become like a younger league overall? Are they going to limit 20-year-olds even more just because like maybe they'll just go younger? I heard some crazy things like they might bump the age down when you can play in the league too to like 15 or something now, where it's not like exempt status, and they make it a much younger league, and then players that want to leave and go to school and take off or get recruited, they can leave. I mean, everyone's not going to get recruited, right? Like,
right.
Let's be honest. There's Division 3 and Division 1. I get it, but like, some guys will stick it out. You'll have some older guys that stick it out and play and last, their junior career, and then maybe can kick over as those 20-year-olds kind of thing. So I don't know. I don't know ultimately like how the numbers are going to shake out in the CHL with age and what they're going to do. There's going to be those guys that play like 2 years and go pro.
Yeah.
College hockey. I saw an interview that Grinnelli did in Michigan, and their head coach said they're competing with the American League now, where to keep players there instead of just going to pro and playing the American League. Why not stay in college? I thought it was a great argument and a great pitch to CHL players and those players that are on the edge to going pro and wanting to sign a deal and go there instead of sticking out maybe one more year college and develop and play and get your schooling at the same time. I thought that was super interesting. So I don't know how it's going to work out. This is what I think in my head. CHL, if you can make it, play there, it's the best league. Then you move on and you can go to college for, 2-3 years and just kind of cool breeze it, development, slow roll that shit. And then when you come out of there, you could be either really pro ready and a little bit more mature and in great shape because you just pound the gym all week. And you can take some weight off your body and some load off your body by playing a little less games as you get a little bit older, but have that really good practice time, and then you could go pro. Like that's like you're not left to like make a super huge life decision of your path at like 14, 15 years old. You know what I mean? So there's all these other options now that, can give you a little bit of breathing room with your development, and where if you don't hit right away, you can, move on and continue playing at high level, get an education, either way through the CHL or NCAA now, and continue to cook on until you're ready to go pro. And you might not have those lulls through your development or your career as well. Take it from me. I played 3.5 years in the minors, boys. I should have been
always hungry league.
Yeah, an overage in junior. I could have stuck it out, just rode the bone rattler a few more years, maybe, right?
I mean, yourself, even in junior, you were a guy that put up points, especially in your second 2 years. But you also look at your penalty minutes. You were a guy that wasn't afraid to get in the mix. What was kind of did that kind of come to your game naturally, or was that something that you felt that you had to add into your game to, obviously you ended up being drafted in the first round. So was that something you had to add in to pique this interest of the scouts? And
I think the first round draft pick thing was like a mirage in my brain for a few years of pro. Like it was like, oh, I'm supposed to be a point producer. Like I'm a good player. Like this is what I should be doing instead of just doing what I did in junior. Like Brent Sutter was my coach, and he expected you to produce, of course, if you're one of the top players, but also to like play hard. And so I could do that. I liked it, actually. I was like being a rat. I liked being chippy. I like, the physicality. I like beating guys. Like if I beat a guy out of the corner with the puck and like eluded him and outsmarted him and used my edges, I felt like it was like a goal. You know what I mean? So it's like that's like where I was in that style of game, and I loved it. I loved when guys had to know when I was on the ice. I loved like being that guy a little bit. And so it suited me to play like an in-your-face physical game with my other skills and ability to play with good players at times too, which helped me out with my hockey IQ and stuff. So I could hang in there. But yeah, it was just kind of built into me. I remember a trainer in the American League, as I'm going through like trying to play and produce and want to make the NHL, he's like, you got to play with reckless abandon. He's our strength coach. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just went out there and just running around, and then everything else just kind of came. So now then I got called up, and then I just brought that. And it was hard to do. Like, it was hard. Like, some of these guys are lunatics, and they're brick
Yeah.
shit houses. And it's like, it's a tough style of game. And I'm not like a big guy. Like, I'm a slight frame, skinnier guy comparatively to some of these guys that were like 225, 6'3", 6'4". It's like, it's hard on the body, no question. But I loved it. I loved being in the fire like that. And once I figured out at the pro level how to like combine everything together, that's when everything kind of started clicking for me a little bit. So yeah, I had that in me. I always kind of had that in me. My dad was like, yeah, well-rounded. You got to be able to do it all. But that's kind of how it is out west. That's the Western League. That's why, I think I think you look at all three of the leagues. I think, you know, the OHL gets a lot of pump in the queue, like skilled guys and stuff, but you out of the Western League, you get a lot of character,
Yeah.
hungry, all around guys. And I think that's just like the brand and style of game out there.
For sure. I think that, yeah, the Western League's definitely the most complete game, I think, in junior hockey. You have the skill guys. Obviously, like, you see guys like Bedard coming out of there, but then you have guys like yourself and Shen and big boys coming out of the Western League that can hit and really add that pro style game. The Q, I mean, the Q is the Q. I feel like it's pretty low on comparison in terms of, on the totem pole of major junior hockey. Obviously, the OHL, like you said, pretty skilled, but WHL, OHL, and then the Q has a couple guys mixed in there, I think.
No fighting in the queue. The OHL, the offended
Yeah.
hockey league, you get suspended if you chirp, and then
Yeah.
and then the Western League.
The one kid got suspended for just flicking a teddy bear back into the
I
stand.
saw that Michael
For real?
Missa, he's like a star in their league. Yeah, I know.
Suspend them. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then the Western League, I think there's there's an emphasis on like 200-foot hockey, like big time in instruction and teaching and development. So you get that well-rounded all-around player. They might not pop like some of the guys coming out of those other leagues with their skill necessarily. But like, look at Braden Point, you know what I mean? Look at his
Yeah.
game. Look at what he does. Look at the way he plays up and down for a star player in the league. So that's kind of, I think, if you're a big time guy, you have that ability coming out of the Western League with the development and expectation of that league to play both sides of the puck.
It's the cool thing about the Western League too is now they have a partnership with the Junior A programs in Western Canada too, the AJ, SJ, and MJ. So I think it's gonna be kind of like
like an American league to the junior team.
Yeah, exactly.
I always thought that kind of existed because I think even when I was in junior, they always had their preferred teams where if guys didn't quite make the cut, they would send them to like these certain teams. And maybe it was relationship based, or maybe it was just closer to those teams that they could do that in the Alberta Junior Hockey League when I was in Red Deer. So I always think it kind of already existed. So, maybe it's better that happens anyway.
Yeah, for sure. It did. Like Seattle was under the same ownership as Spruce Grove for when Spruce was still in the AJ. So they would always send their guys down to Spruce, and Spruce would always be sending their guys up. But now it's like official, especially after BC left, and one of the big things about Hockey Canada was the rule changes, was the rule direction that the sport was going in, like the no visors and stuff like that. And then when they partnered with the WHL, they took all of the WHL rules basically besides fighting. So you still fight in junior A, you get booted, but you can go back to wearing your visors.
Yeah.
It's delay a game if you shoot it out of your zone, out of play. So they're taking small steps, which is nice.
They're kind of like, it seems like it's more streamlined, right? So like if you have a good partnership, they have good coaching and development. You send a 16-year-old there that's not quite ready for your club. You know that you can trust them, that they're going to develop your guy, and they're in a really good situation and spot. So I think it's an advantage for all the teams doing that.
Sports fans and casino lovers, it's your time. Get ready for a whole new way to experience DualBits with the launch of DualBits TV Stream, now live on DualBits official X, formerly Twitter, and other channels. DualBits TV guarantees daily streams hosted by your favorite streamers, covering a variety of time slots to keep the excitement going all day long. Whether you're tuning in for epic DualBits originals, live sports betting action, thrilling spins on slots, or massive giveaways, we've got something for everyone. As part of the TV stream launch, DualBits is giving away a staggering $50,000 every month live during the streams. In case you've forgotten, you're able to win all these prizes with a totally free-to-play entry. DualBits is really the home of MMA sports betting. Don't miss on Don't miss on mega boosts on the main fights and bet and get offer on the Taporia versus Holloway fight. Want custom bets? Use our request a bet feature via DualBits' Discord or Telegram channel. Follow at DualBits Threads on Instagram for exclusive merch and visit dualbits.shop to explore the collection. For sure. Army, so you're in the NHL, you go through your seasons, and now you're in broadcasting. How did you go from what was the process for you? Because you see a lot of guys. Zach and I have talked about it before. It's like you have a career in the NHL, which is awesome. You're on top of the world. It doesn't matter where you're playing in the NHL, you're still playing in the NHL, depending on no matter where you are, what type of player you are. You're in a force, you're a star, you're playing professional hockey, and you're getting paid.
Yeah.
You're living the dream, especially for a Canadian boy from Saskatchewan. How do you end up finding yourself on the broadcasting road after you're done your playing career?
I don't know. I think I always had a personality in the dressing room around my friends, or even in school when I was younger, and didn't mind entertaining and being the clown. And then the ability through my career eventually, being around cameras, being around interviews, being able to goof around with some of that stuff. It's crazier now. Like, I couldn't imagine what I'd be doing now. It'd be nuts with these teams and their social media teams and all the stuff that's going on. I would have overdone it for sure. But, just put myself out there to be able to do that. And then being able to play in Toronto and Montreal really helped me. In those markets and in Canada, I think, get my foot in the door at the end of my career. I retired sooner than I wanted to. I was hoping I could play till I was 35 or something, but at 31 I was done, and had the ability through my agent at the time, which was Newport Sports, kind of my mom and my parents, that kind of pushed me with little hints, you'd be really good at this if one day when you quit. And same thing from the agent who helped direct me into it initially when I first retired with Rogers Sportsnet, the first year of their deal. And I'm still kind of kicking around doing a bunch of stuff for them, but moved back to Pittsburgh and got, involved with the team here and stuff. Kind of this whole thing has been kind of the same as playing, though. It's the game, right? It's being around the game. It's I didn't know. And when you're playing and you're just a player, you don't realize how many jobs are out there in just in hockey. It's crazy. And so for me to be involved, and when you get out, I'm like, what's a scout do? What's the responsibilities? How do you stay in the game? What do you want to do? I never thought of that. Zach, I don't know. Do you think of that? You're still playing, so you're like, fuck it, I never want to think about it.
Zach's thinking about how many more rings he can
have
put on his hand.
my moments, have my summers where it's do I want to keep going? I'm 35 now, and the body still feels good, and Berlin keeps offering me contracts, so I can't really turn them down. But there's definitely that thought in the back of the head, what am I going to do after? Am I going to try and get into media, or trying to get into personal training or scouting, or all this different stuff?
What does it pay? What's the responsibilities? How much of your time is it? What's the workload? I don't know. We don't know any of this stuff. We've been handed a little mini schedule that fits into your wallet on every road trip that tells you where to go, what to do, and your job, so you're coming out of hockey into the workforce, in a way, and you're 35. That's strange. It's hard to navigate. It's like graduating high school when you're 35. It's what do I do now? Where do I want to go? What do I want to be? So,
but 31's young. You just had enough?
Yeah.
It was,
well, I just played that year in Sweden, was my last year, and I just couldn't get a contract. And I started having kids and a family, and then I just didn't want to just go chasing jobs and how it just becomes a grind a little bit in that regard of finding a job. Yeah. That's what it's called, finding a job. And you start shopping yourself all over the world now, and all these different leagues everywhere. And do you want to go here? And how's this team? And I was just like, man, I'm done. I'm going to try something else. I probably could have kept playing, no question, but I was just like, I'm going to try something else and see how it works out, and got my foot in the door a little bit, and then got to Pittsburgh. They won back-to-back cups. I was doing some radio for them when I first moved back here, and have been working for them ever since, and eventually morphed that into some TV work. Now I'm doing color for games. I'm getting to do color for TNT, plus studio work as well down here in the States, and then getting in with Biz and Wit with Chiclets and Merle's, my partner on Game Notes. That's easy too. You guys are doing it. Anyone can do it now. So it's kind of interesting, and it's a grind to it for sure, no question. But I'm just happy to be involved in the game still. I love hockey. I love watching hockey. I'm a loser. I love breaking it down. Like Biz called me the other night, like midnight, and we talked about hockey till like 1 in the morning. He's a nerd too. As much as he seems like he might not be, he's dialed. Like he loves it. So I could do that all day and love being around all the people in our game and talking about it, breaking it down, and keeping track of everything that's going on. I've been lucky. I could be digging ditches in Saskatchewan. So I got it pretty good right now. Game's been good to me.
For sure. I mean, I must say, like, I have to give you guys your flowers for TNT too, because I think out of all the panels, especially the ones in Canada too, but you compare it to even overall sports media, not just hockey. I mean, you guys have it dialed in TNT. Like, you have the best panel, the best people on the panel. You talk about the best things. You're not afraid to show personalities, which a lot of mainstream media is, and I think that's why a lot of entertainers and athletes hate mainstream media nowadays, because they ask the dumbass questions, and I mean, you see it all the time with Draisaitl and guys like Jack Hughes, and you see these viral clips going all the time because guys are just asking them dumb questions. But you guys aren't afraid to ask, show a little bit of personality, joke around with the boys, actually give it that locker room feel. Like you're not just trying to, get them on something, or you're not just trying to get the same quote that every other news site is getting. It's you guys do it different, and you do a really good job.
Yeah, it's fun going in there. It's so loose. And like Liam McHugh is like unbelievable at that format, the way they do their shows and like how loose and fun it is and how creative it is and how, they go outside the box and do like different skits with Biz, or like they say yes to a lot of stuff that other places would be like, I don't know, so I give them a lot of credit for like pushing it. Even dumb questions, like believe me, they ask, and I've asked even dumb questions when I've been on there to the players and stuff, but like they roll with it, then they make it fun and they make it cool. It's not like a mistake or dumb. It's like, oh my God, like they blow it up. So and then they stay on it the entire show. So it becomes like a thing. It's wild. It's pretty wild and fun and loose, and like you never know what's coming around the corner. So it has that feel to it. So yeah, they've got something going for sure. The way they came in, they just took off, and yeah, it's been really entertaining, and it's really cool to get in there and work with them. So I've been lucky to be able to do that too, here and there, and hanging out and seeing Wayne Gretzky in there. That's amazing, and and Anson too, and what he brings as well, and on his side of things with like he's so interested in ownership and like the backside of guys' contracts and trades, and his brain's always working. So he's been doing it a long time himself. So they got a good thing going there, and obviously having Hank on there, he's got some great goaltending insights, hockey insights, and kind of done it all. And he's a good looking guy on the crew.
I got a question. So for like all these different companies that you work with, does Newport like help you negotiate? Like, are you like you're on
No.
salary, obviously, with Pittsburgh, I'm guessing, doing radio and stuff. You're saying you're working for Sportsnet, you're working for
Yeah.
TNT, you're working for Barstools. Like is it like all
Oh,
different contracts, all different,
yeah.
and you got to put it all together somehow, put your
Yeah, I just
schedule together?
yeah, I just got to build this massive schedule, and Newport helped me get my foot in the door, but I later, because I don't know the landscape, I don't know what people make. I don't know, like it's not like hockey. You just go on like, cap whatever and find out everyone's salaries and your comparables. I don't even know how that works. I don't know. It's like real world stuff. So I ended up getting an agent for a little while in that area.
And
That
it was a
was
different agent, separate from
totally
Newport.
different. Yeah, like an entertainment agent, if you will. And
Yeah.
they understand how all this stuff works and what it happens. And then now I've been doing it for, I guess, this is my 10th year, I think.
Wow.
So I kind of figured it out, and I know who to talk to now, and I'm not afraid to call. And the main thing, I'm not afraid to like sell myself that I can do certain things or certain jobs or different things. And also I've been given a pretty good opportunity from some people to get put in situations to do well, and worked with some amazing people like Jeff Merrick. I mean, I started with him, and he like helped me so much. I know he's helped a ton of people in the industry, but just and then on camera, they had a guy hired, Bob Babinski. This guy's like an on-camera wizard that teaches you how to like sit at the desk and like just like so you're cleaned up a little bit.
Mm.
Super helpful, managing your thoughts, getting your stuff in quick and getting out of there, how to manage that. And I just had so many. David Amber's amazing host. He's done a great job. It's been amazing working with him. And so yeah, like all those people. Are willing to help you, and I've been willing to do everything from podcast to radio to interviews to digital to TV. You know, I've kind of just tried to do everything. Commercials. I'm all over Canada on those commercials, man. It's insane. I'm on more than the players. It's like hilarious, but yeah, I just kind of just said yes to a lot of things and kind of got a little bit well-rounded with everything that I can kind of do everything okay. And so it gives me opportunity to do it. But yeah, my schedule is pretty crazy. It is. So my wife does it for me now because you know she's smarter than me and everything. So she manages all this stuff, and I don't know what the heck's going on. I rely on her a lot, but I'm going pretty good. I'm like traveling a lot. I'm going pretty good, mixing and matching, and you know the team services guy for the Penguins is probably not happy with me when I call him like 2 weeks before and like, hey, can I get off this return flight after the game and wherever because I got to fly to Atlanta or I got to fly to Toronto or I got to do this job here. So a little bit of pain in the ass, but somehow we make it all work and hopefully no hiccups.
They're like this diva army
Yeah,
gets
I know, I know.
gets a job at Barstool. All of a sudden, I'm his concierge, getting different flights.
I need a concierge. I need a guy. That's what I need.
Being, I know you've only got a few more minutes here, but for now that you've seen the game from the other side of things, you know, from the business side, from the media standpoint, what's your and there's. I mean, you guys can probably speak to it better than I can because you guys play it. There's nothing better than stepping on the ice in the NHL. That's the dream, like I said earlier. But on the other side of things, what's been your favorite part so far about and something? It could be something that you've learned, something that you've experienced. But being on the business side, being on the media side, seeing the game, kind of how it's put together from a different viewpoint. What's your favorite part of that side?
I think it's easy to forget that you were a player and what it's like to be in the trenches and what it's like to be, you know, in the fire and when things aren't going good. And it's easy to say, oh, this guy hasn't scored in 12 games, but like I've been there, I know what it's like. And sometimes you forget, like, oh my God, like this guy's got to score. There's like a million things going into that, right? Like with your play and like being in there too, like mentally where you're at and your confidence and everything. So, you know, at times I have to remind myself, like, yeah, I was that guy before. Like I remember how it felt, and not that I'm going to say I'm not piling on, but just, you know, keeping your brain in that space so you can analyze and critique it properly, right? That's something that's been different. But I guess the one thing that I've realized that for me is something I just said is just I just said yes to like a lot of things. And you know, at times I was pissed. Maybe it wasn't like the best pay, but I got like so much experience in doing that and you know, getting asked to do certain things and not turning it down and saying yes and going and doing it and being ready and being prepared. Like a lot of this stuff behind the scenes too that I didn't know, like in doing the games with the production and the directors and everyone that does that's in the truck, like during, like to be able to go into a studio and do the desk, guys, is sick. It's fun. But to be like, I was between the benches last night for Colorado, Pittsburgh.
Cool.
McKinnon, 5 points. Rantanen, 5 points. Makar, like, beamed down from a fucking spaceship for the game. He's an alien. He's all over the ice. Like, to be on the bench again like that, that is the coolest shit ever. That is the best. I did a TNT game last week also for Chicago-Boston game too, like being down there with all those guys. Just being in the action like that, it's like nothing beats it. It's incredible. It's a cool feeling. It's like you're playing again. And that's probably the best. But like the one thing I learned is just like be open to trying anything. Like if you want to get into this and you're an ex-player or you have, you know, a dream of wanting to get into sports media, at least hockey anyways, like get her going. Like grab a microphone like you guys, get a pod going, start ripping, start practicing, start interviewing people, start like digging into it, start having fun with it. Get some clips going on social, start to build it. It's awesome. It's never been like cooler to like actually do that on your own. And that's why I give like Witt and Biz and Grinelli and those guys a ton of credit with Chiclets because they just did it. They did it on their own with help of a platform and Barstool, but they did it and they put everything into it and you know they walked the line, they crossed the line, they they've made it pretty interesting. And any you know a lot of people can do that now. It's awesome the way it is and like the things you can gain from doing you know all these things just kind of on your own. Like you could really just do it on your own. Like you don't need like a boss at a network to like you know tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, we picked you. You can go and just do stuff. So I would say like do it all. Do it all. Have fun. Get your hands dirty.
The land is full of opportunity right now, I think, for especially
Yeah.
with social media and the way things are going. Army, thank you so much for joining us. Chucky, do you have anything else before we let him catch his flight here?
No, have fun in Montreal. Maybe have a couple of those little hot dogs
Oh
in between
yeah,
and after the games. I miss those.
the Chien Show.
Healthy
Yeah,
scratch. Yeah, those are so
What are
good.
these? What are these?
Montreal hot dog, man. It's like a steamed, toasted like bun, but it's like not a bun. It's like a weird.
It's like on a piece of bread or something.
It's like Texas toast or something almost, and it's like
Oh.
yeah, and they put in these little bags and they steam up. We used to get those big boxes delivered in the dressing room post game, and they'd
Oh,
just be
so
sitting in
good.
there. Yeah, guys would just be housing them down, just housing them. I'll be getting them in there. Yeah, I'll be in Montreal tonight, game tomorrow, and then off to Ottawa. I'll be hitting that place up. You ever been to Fratelli's in Ottawa, that little Italian spot out there?
I don't know if I've been there.
I might check that out. We used to go there.
Get
all
some
the time.
Italian in you, yeah.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah,
It's chicken parm.
never hungry league. Never hungry
There
league,
you go.
buddy.
That's facts, yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for
Army,
having me, though.
thank you. If you're ever in Nashville, let me know. I'm back and forth between here and Calgary all the time, so we'll catch up, do something, maybe film a part 2 when we get you for longer. But yeah, we appreciate you coming on. Have a safe flight, and man, congrats on everything you're doing so far. You're killing it between Barstool, TNT, Sportsnet, everything you're doing. It's awesome. And
All right, Kyle. Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Zach. Good luck. Good luck to both
Yeah.
of you. Zach, good luck with your hockey over there. We'll be following, and we'll see you in the chat. Game notes Friday, 12 noon, live.
let's go.
Be
Get our
there.
boy, yeah, you get our boy Chuck in there delivering in the chat.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you
All
later.
right, thanks.